This is the outline of my presentation, so I'll tell what ABU is, and then talk a little bit about what's called the media over IP, because we don't want to restrict ourselves just to video, so it's a video, audio, and all the controls. And what are the motivations going for IP? So there has to be some good reasons to go for that, because that doesn't come without any challenges. So I will talk a little bit about some of the software architectures that will evolve over the time, and Stan ask a lot of questions for you to ask later on as you walk around and when you go for a specific presentation, because these short presentations cannot go deep into any of the subject, but we want to give you a bigger picture so that you understand what's going on in the field. So the ABU is a professional organization of all the Asia Pacific, the broadcasters in the Asia Pacific region. And we represent about 267 members spread across 69 countries. And some of these members are what they call the state broadcasters, public broadcasters, commercial broadcasters. Today, it doesn't matter whether you are a state or public or private, you all need to be financing your operations today, right? And some of the slides that I prepared subsequently will be supported, some of the diagrams that I borrowed from Nevion, so thanks to them in advance. I'm not going to go through, you can go to the website and have a look at who I am. Let me first introduce the topic in a bigger picture, because we are not restricting ourselves just for the video, but the video, audio, and all the control data will be all transported through the IP backbone. So we would like to call it media over IP. And when we are talking about the media over IP, it's the future focus will be more on transporting them in real-time application. So we are not just looking at the delivery, which we are already doing today, but also how we can do production in a studio, and then even a remote studio. So that's what we're going to come to that very soon. So at this time, so we will be looking at, we will be using for this transport layer 3 and above, right? So what are the motivations for going IP? I'm sure you may have heard from number of discussions so far, because we have had many presentations, events around the use of IP. I'm sure you may have experienced that before. If not, we request you to do so. So there are a large number of motivations, or we could expect lots of advantages that we could derive through that one. So some of them come through what's called the direct cost saving. So that means your investment can be minimized by going to the IP, and then I will later tell you how it is important, and is there a big reduction, or how it could vary over the time. And there are not only direct cost savings, but the cost savings, or the savings that we could achieve through enabling this IP, right? And more than that, as we know, the people are now looking for lots of features, the extra things. So all that can be done as we are moving to the IP world, and then we could start new services and sources which leads to more revenue. So what can we achieve with IP, right? So here I like to sort of summarize number of, I would say, advantages that you could achieve. And you have already heard some of them in the previous presentations as well. So the very simple and a very straightforward cost reduction as a direct cost reduction will be the reduction of investment, cost for investment. So that's a reduced equipment cost and facility cost, right? So we talk a lot about what's called the commercially off-the-shelf products that's being able to perform the broadcast operations. And then also it is discussed in a way, some people seen this as a challenge, but also it's an opportunity. We can make use of some of the IT and the software skills already available to build these networks. So I will come to that very soon. And these can be used to enable the broadcast operation through IP, right? And then you can combine all the file-based systems and then your streaming, so to the beginning to end. And also you can further derive what we call the efficiencies through the network optimization. So this is something that I will come to that very soon. And also something you probably have heard in recent times is the use of cloud. And the way that the media industry is undergoing, there are a lot of challenges for someone to build an infrastructure because the operator doesn't know what should be the scale and then how much to invest. So there is always possibility for someone to start something in a shorter period of in the cloud, and then once it is proven, you could go back to the acquiring your own private cloud or your own private facilities. And then they will give you more efficiency, and then in future we will see lots of these devices, and the network or the broadcast infrastructure components are software defined, software based. So it's possible to do software upgrades, and through that, by configuring, it is possible to become more flexible, delivering the needs of your audience. And also it was mentioned about the identification and the discovery and registration. So this is something, if I give a little analogy, in your office, in your normal office, if you have a PC and a printer and so on, so it's possible for the system for the network to identify what devices are connected to that. So we could have a similar approach in future, where in a facility you don't have a sort of a fixed wiring, but very flexible wiring. So in the socket, when you connect the IP connection, you can connect any device, and then you can work from anywhere. So this the kind of a flexibility that it will give. And also it will bring some challenges around security, and you probably heard about the cyber attacks and cyber security around that. So before I conclude my presentation, I'll tell you a few things that we are doing, and not only at ABU, but globally we are doing together. So as the title of my presentation, so I'm looking at the IP and also the integration of a lot of these to the network. So in Stan's presentation earlier, talked a lot about like there are new forms of devices coming into your broadcast infrastructure, and most of them will be software defined. And also you would remember he mentioned about the managed network. So these are not just the network like the internet, which is the public network, but they are the managed networks where the quality of service and the quality of experience have been managed, right? So these will be utilized, and then you can do what's called the virtualization, right? So I'll try to explain a little bit about this, but not in depth in this short presentation. So what all of these basically present in total, once they are in place, will be what's called the agility. And then the flexibility, and then the ability to change as the market changes with the change of configuration and the change of software, right? So you can be quick to market, right? And then you can take advantage of lots of COTS equipment, commercially available off-the-shelf devices, right? So as these things evolve, what we will find at the end will be something like this, right? So you will find what's called studios, right? And then you will find in the middle of that what's called a data center. And this is something we have not seen traditionally for a broadcaster, right? And then you also could see a control room outside, and they're all connected through what we call the green lines and the green circle. So that's a router, and then all the green connections are the IP connection. So how do we get there, right? And then all of these represent, this could be in a smaller geography, and that could be far away, which connects through the wide area network, right? So the classical broadcast network will look like this. I'm sure you all agree, whether it's a radio station or a television station, we used to have what's called the master control room, where you does all the switching and electronic processing. And then all the studios are hardwired to that master control room. You cannot change every day in a short time any of these configurations. So we used to do was what we used to do the control. So we had a fixed rigid system where we used to do the control. And over the period of time, this will slowly evolve by replacing this center master control room, where same master control room but having a router, right? So this is IP-based router, but it's similar kind of a operation. Now it's moved from sort of control to what is called we can do the management. So this will bring certain level of flexibility in our operation, right? And this can be further enhanced by bringing more components around that, right? So you find in every location more routing, and they are also interconnected. So you could see in this situation you have 3 studios and a control room all connected to the data center through these IP pipes, and there are 2 routers sitting there in the data center, right? So you do what's called the management and orchestration. I'll tell you in a minute what it is, right? So now we are further enhancing all of that operation. So what that enables us to do is that it enables us to incrementally scale as the things are changing. So that's the kind of a demand today. So it's not like in a few decades ago, we had a very static operation. We had a rigidly wired broadcast center, and we used to just do broadcast, and we did not know much about what's going on. But now with the IP, we have a return channel enabled, and as the IP networks getting better, and then the software operations getting better, we can further enhance that. And so you could see, earlier we had 3 studios, and now we have added the 4th studio into that, and then expanded the data center. So you can incrementally change without changing the whole picture, right? So you do that, not simply doing what's called the control, but we do what's called the management and orchestration. So all that we do on top of a managed IP network, right? So there is a software-defined network where you define your quality levels. So it's like almost like a lease line, but at this moment it is assuring the service levels that is required for the purpose. So its ability to automate the behavior of that network at that time to support that application and a service. So what we are doing in future as a broadcaster, we offer these services and then running applications to enable them, right? So for all of these to happen, right, there are lots of work going on, and this has been going on for a number of years. So now we are coming to a level where we could see some deployment, see some action happening in this area where people can make use of that. So in this connection, there is what's called the Joint Task Force for Network Media. So this task force is comprised of a number of standard making bodies like AES, SMPTE, and also you will find here the European Broadcasting Union, North American Broadcasting Association. So they are like our sister unions in North America and in Europe, right? So they all work together with other industry forums like AIMS. I'm sure you may have heard that. So we all working together so that we could make IP can be used effectively and efficiently in the broadcast facilities in future, right? So we had a large number of phases in rolling out, or a kind of a roadmap for that, and I have not included that roadmap. I'm sure you may have seen this roadmap a few times, because I have seen myself twice yesterday in presentation, right? So I have not included that one, but that will show how over the period of time, in a timeline, how this will evolve and rolled out to it become a reality, right? So we all work together because we want to harmonize and then move forward without having interoperability issues, but still maintaining what we call the open standards, right? I told you that all of these, they do not come with all good things, but there are other challenges as well. And one of the challenges that you all heard would be the cyber attacks, because once you go IP, once you are connected to the cyberspace, so you are connected, and there is always a possibility someone to creep in through that pipe, right? But this wasn't the case when you had your master control room. It's a locked area, right? Usually for you to get in there, there's so much access control, and wiring is only limited to that. Nobody else could tap it or to in or out, right? But once it is in the cyberspace, anybody could attack. Anybody could try to penetrate that one. So we are working on how we can secure this while we are opening up in a big way. So our sister union, European Broadcasting Union, they have already produced 5 recommendations on this one. So giving some guidelines, how the products should be selected, and then what are the ethics and the best practices within your broadcast facility. Because a number of broadcast facilities I recently visited, they don't allow any other external devices to be taken into any facility inside. Most of the facilities don't allow flash drive to plug in. So we are working in all the technical areas and then the exposure that it will bring in. So in summary, so I told you that we have been working on this IP area for quite a long time, but IP has been deployed for broadcasting quite a long time, especially in the delivery areas. Now what we are talking a lot, IP is for the production application, right? And initially studio in your facility itself, and then extending that to, in future, what's called the remote studio. They're all connected through an IP cable. So the objective of having this interop lab also to show you, to demonstrate that various devices can be connected together beyond SDI connection, and also you can make operation. And so this my presentation will be narrowcast in this region and also broadcast over Facebook. So that's already in the IP area, right? And we also use the IP for contribution. So you remember the first slide I said once the IP is mature, in future, we will be using this IP not in the sense that we use today for IP contribution, but in more different contexts, right? And but in the short run, or maybe also in the medium term, we will see coexistence of both SDI and the IP in our operations, and then over the period of time it will slowly fade out, and then IP will pick up completely. And so there are a number of drivers that I told you about the going for IP, and we are all working together with standard bodies and other industry forums to make it happen, right? Minimizing the interoperability issues. So once you have that one, I told you that it gives you very agile and flexible system for broadcasters to operate, which can sort of change its operating parameters. Because we have been talking a lot about online delivery, and lots of presenters and speakers, they say OTT is the way to go. But if you ask how much revenue that derive against your traditional revenue, it will be very low. So how much investment for you to do in that area? So, but in future, so such a scaling can be handled so that it's more affordable and it's more based on the return on your investment, right? And also in future, it allows you to do what's called the remote production and remote studio. So the far ahead picture will be, you will see less and less outside, I'll give you time, outside broadcast operations done with a big van, but there will be small unit like this, taken in a smaller vehicle and then set it up there and all connected to your studio through IP cable, and all the controls can be done that way. So some of the operations are already done in this regard for sports production in a smaller scale, right? So these are some of the trends that I have indicated. So note in that summary, and I predict that the future will be, what's the future for IP? This is somebody, lots of people ask from us when we do present. So let's look at other things. For decades, we have been talking about digital. And we talk about advantages of going digital. And have you all gone digital fully? Have you all gone fully HD? No. Some have gone, some are yet to go there, right? So there will be some hybrid. So that's what I said. But like digital, IP will follow a similar pattern, but that's also inevitable. But because it's like digital is inevitable. Most of the production now done in digital domain. So my advice to anyone in the broadcasting field would be, so plan for it. It does not mean that you're going to invest tomorrow for that, but if you have an investment plan down the 10 years time, so you need to seriously look at that time, what is the best way to do it, right? But if you have to do it something tomorrow, maybe you need to go something that's available today, right? But all what is important is to be prepared for that and then move forward.